Welcome to another session of Canvas Live. Canvas Live sessions are presented by Canvas community members and or Instructure employees to help Canvas users like yourself improve and enhance their teaching and learning with Canvas. So today we are continuing the series that we have called Groupies, and we're going to talk about assignment groups. My name is Birai. I'm a community manager here at Instructure, and with me is Rob. Say hi, Rob.
Hello, everybody.
He's the technical director at the academic computing courseware team at Wharton at University of Pennsylvania. It's good to have you again.
Great to be here again.
So Rob and I have been doing these sessions on groups in Canvas, and we thought it might warrant a series because we always come across the question, what does groups mean in Canvas? The word groups is used throughout Canvas to mean a lot of different things. And so our hope is that this series continues to unravel those meanings. So for instance, groups in Canvas might mean student groups, which is a smaller version of your course, which leverages a separate space for discussion, collaboration. It could mean group work, where you leverage the collaboration tools for working on common projects with other students. It could mean group assignments, which is a submission of an assignment by a group of students. It could also mean assignment groups, where you're grouping assignments in a course for the purposes of organization or weighted grading, things like that. Or it could mean assignment for a group of people. So an assignment intended for a specific group or students, in other words, called differentiated assignments. In the first episode of our series, we looked at group assignments, but today we're going to actually look at assignment groups in a little bit more detail. So what I'll talk about initially is I'll go through really simply talk about how to create assignment groups, how to add assignments to these groups for better organization, and establish the rules of these assignment groups. And then Rob will follow up with talking about, in each of these categories, talking about some considerations worth thinking about as you're creating assignment groups. Okay, so how to create an assignment group. Very easy. You go into your assignments tab in your Canvas course, and you should see a list of your assignments if you have created them already. And then you can group them by clicking on the plus group button, and you'll be prompted to name the group assignment. And that's all that does. Initially, by default, every new Canvas course comes with an assignment group called assignments. You can always change that name if you'd like by clicking on the gear icon and clicking edit, and you can change the name of the assignment groups. Rob, what are some considerations when we're creating assignment groups?
Okay, well, after an import, and when you use the import tool in settings to bring in assignments from a past course, your imports of assignments can have an impact on the assignment groups that show up in the assignments list. Depending on how you did the import, you may see one or more blank assignment groups, each named assignments with no weight. We'll get to weighted assignment groups a little later in the presentation, but for now, just be aware that an import may produce that result. Another result that an import could produce is that selected assignments which you chose to import may not wind up in the corresponding group for the same type of assignment or type of work in your previous course. They could instead appear in a group that the Canvas import tool creates on the fly called imported assignments. So if you're doing an import with assignment groups, after you're done with importing all of the assignments or importing the entire course, maybe somebody is doing this for you, a designer or administrator, expect to review the state of all the assignment groups at the end and move things around, delete groups that would be redundant or empty, that you don't want to use. When you're deleting an assignment group, there's a nice prompt that Canvas has to give you the option to move all the assignments in that group to any different group, which you can easily select.
Perfect. And this is a great segue to how to add assignments to assignment groups. Rob mentioned moving the different assignment groups, and so you can do that by just clicking and dragging. If this is a brand new course or you are revising the course and want to create new assignment groups and new assignments in that group, another option is to add an assignment group. So you would come here into the plus sign and click plus, and it's a prompt to help you add an assignment into that group. And it doesn't actually add a current assignment that you have. It's more like creating an assignment shell. And so you can build out your course that way if you like. But if you want to actually build the assignment itself, then you can click more options, and that will take you to the assignment prompt of how you create the full assignment. So this is just more of a temporary shell that you could create quickly. And if you want to continue building the assignment, you can by clicking more options. So there's two ways to kind of add and organize your assignments in an assignment group. Some considerations to think about when you're organizing and building your assignment groups. Rob?
Sure. So the order of assignments within a group, at least just how they're displayed on the assignment list, is not necessarily what students see. It's arbitrary. The assignments might be sorted in the order that you created them, but not necessarily for lots of reasons. One reason, could be the import scenario that I was talking about before. Another reason might be if you have a mobile browser, a touchscreen tablet, or a convertible laptop, and you interact with the assignments list, the response to accidental drag and drops on a touchscreen can very quickly move an assignment from one place to another within a group, or even to a different group. There is a correspondence between the order of assignments from top to bottom in a group and the order of columns in the gradebook, only for those assignments that have a grading type. So that's another sense in which this is an arbitrary order. But the most important thing to consider is that students don't necessarily see assignments in the same groups in order that you do. So you'll always want to go to your settings and click Student View to see how students see the assignments. They have a choice where they can sort everything by date, and they're grouped into various groups related to the date, like upcoming assignments, completed assignments, or they can toggle and switch by type. The type display is more like the order that you see as a teacher, but still not necessarily the same. So Student View is really the best tool for seeing how your assignment group design comes across to students. Another good tool is to look at the syllabus tab if your course uses that. That's yet a different lens into how all of the assignments that you've created appear in chronological order. The calendar is good too.
That's great. And then you also mentioned, with the accidental drag and drop with the mobile device. So yeah, that could be a little tricky, as Professor Greg Bayer said in the chat. Melanie has a question for you. She asks, does the order of the groups at the bottom of the grades page for students typically match the order of the assignments page?
So it's from my recollection, it's sort of the net of which assignments are graded. And for the graded assignments only, the order of the assignment groups will sort of sort those assignments within the groups. But when the student is looking at their grades page, it appears to them as just one long list of names of assignments, either the grade if they've already received one, or a symbol indicating waiting to grade or muted grade. And it's been a while since I looked at the order, so I may want to confirm the exact answer to this question and follow up in the comments back in the Canvas Live event for this event.
Perfect. And we'll get that question confirmed, Melanie, for you. So basically, it sounds like the main takeaway is the order of the assignments doesn't impact too much the Canvas student, but perhaps it does impact this teacher view in the gradebook as far as organizing the order, which is great. So now the next thing, once you've ordered them, you want to establish the rules of the assignment group. And so if you go to the assignment group and click on the gear icon and click edit, you will see some options. And so the main options are in that assignment group, you're able to drop the highest or drop the lowest X number of assignments. So drop the highest 3 assignment, 1 assignment, drop the lowest 3 assignments, things like that that are in that assignment group. And then you can also qualify this rule by saying, but never drop this assignment or this discussion or quiz or whatever is graded. And this can help you, provide different options for your students. And when the student goes to actually see these groups, they can see the rules as they go through these assignments. Some considerations?
Sure. So most of issues that come up with grading rules at the institution where I work, University of Pennsylvania, arise when drop lowest has been chosen. Drop, the lowest, say, 2 grades in this assignment group. The computation for drop lowest happens only after scores are entered in the gradebook. So it's not going to start out dropping blank scores. From the perspective of the program within Canvas that implements the drop rule, when a grade is blank or not filled in, there's nothing yet to drop. So to deal with that, my go-to advice for working with our teachers here at our institution is to encourage them to get familiar with set default grade in the gradebook. One of the options for that command is that you're setting a default grade, usually a 0, only for students that don't already have a grade. Or another way that you could do it is if you first mute the assignment in the gradebook or speed grader in order to avoid panic. You could set a 0 for everybody with default grade, and then go through and fill in for people that have the actual grade. That may be the harder way to do it, honestly. I would say when you're using a drop rule, what's going to be simplest is to fill in the zeros or fill in incomplete, whatever is appropriate for the students that have not done this assignment. And then that entry of the grade for whatever you've chosen for the student who has not done the assignment or didn't do it adequately will be factored into the drop lowest. Another useful tool for this is the indicator in Speed Grader. Most of us see it as a yellow dot for an ungraded assignment. The gear in Speed Grader gives you an opportunity to sort the flipper of students, the student selector, at the top right, by the status of whether students have submitted. So if you don't want to use set default grade, but you do want to fill in some 0 or incomplete grades based on submission status, that's an easy way to get to the unsubmitted students and set their grades all at once. So another consideration is that with a drop lowest rule active, some scores may appear dropped early in a course. What that means is that let's say that you're going to have 5 grades count, and you've set a drop rule that you're going to drop 2. It's sometimes Canvas is, through the shading in the gradebook and other ways, showing you and students that it's dropping a grade at times that you don't expect. The drop lowest will be correct when all of the grades you expect to assign for that assignment are correct. That generally works fine, except in one scenario where, again, in my experience working with our faculty, we have a lot of questions, and this is sort of students' choice assignments where students have their choice of doing, say, 3 out of the 5 assignments in one assignment group. It just feels really tempting to use a drop rule to make that happen and reinforce, in their view of the assignments list by type, that they don't have to do every assignment. But my team will always recommend for students' choice not to use a drop rule for a group of optional assignments unless you as the instructor, you're committed to setting default grades for the assignments students don't submit, which is not always what you expect to do. You expect to not have to do anything when students have a choice of which assignments to do, and they just don't submit them because they're not supposed to. In the community, there's been some discussion about what if Canvas could have rules that are more around the highest grades rather than the lowest grades. That's not a feature now, but if it were, a sort of student's choice design would work better with assignment group rules. And then I think we also want to talk about weighted grading here at the end. Is that right, B. Ryan?
Yes. And before we get to that, do you have any comment on how excused grading works?
It's a newer feature. We haven't used it extensively, and to be honest, it's not one that I've tested in conjunction with the drop rules. Without drop rules, it is certainly a useful status. That that you intend not for this particular student to have a grade on this particular assignment. So that might be another good follow-up for comments on this presentation. And good thought. Excused is very useful, but it'll be helpful to know how it works with drop rules.
Yeah, we'll take a look at that. Oh, we actually have a comment from the chat. It says, my students have excused assignments and they are not counted as the lowest dropped. Good to know. Thank you.
I wonder then whether an EX, an excused assignment, is treated much like a blank grade from the standpoint of the logic for drop rules. This might be more, adding more fuel to the fire for the discussion of should it be a highest. I'm making a note that I want to link to that community discussion from this event as well, because it's a really good discussion, and I suspect excused hasn't been explored in that discussion yet.
Great. All right, so I think the last sort of big consideration is how not just these individual group assignments work, but kind of how all these group assignments or assignment groups, kind of play a role in the bigger picture of weighted groups.
So for any course design that will use a weighted average of different types of grades, to turn that on, you go to the top gear on the assignments list, and this has changed recently in Canvas within the last it's year or less. There's a menu choice, usually only one menu choice in that top gear, assignment groups weight, and you go there to get the dialog where you can toggle on whether assignment groups are weighted for your course or not. Once you do, if you have assignment groups created, there you can access the screen where you actually fill in the weights. If you intend to use a points-based gradebook only, where often there's only just one assignments group, and the intent is for all of the assignments to add up to the total possible points that you've designed. And there's, there is no other weighting. Generally speaking, I would say don't use the assignments group weight. If you're careful, you could, experiment with 100% for one group weight, but we usually advise our professors for points-based gradebooks not to fill that in. What you should avoid is a mix when using assignment groups that are weighted, a mix of blank weights and non-blank weights. That can cause confusion to you with how in the gradebook with how the subtotal columns are being computed, and it can be confusing for students because their display of the grade weighting, which is shown on the syllabus tab, is going to seem strange when some have numbers, some don't. Currently, there's an issue with the iOS app for Canvas, at least on iPhone. We're still getting a feel for exactly how this turns up and why it seems to be some students and not others, but a situation where some assignment groups have a blank weight, no weight specified, and other assignment groups have weight specified, may show an on-screen error in the iOS app, may cause the assignments list not to be displayed. And the way we found to avoid that is, either no weights, points-based gradebook, or specify all weights, so that your weighted average scheme for your grading is clear.
Great. If we have any additional questions on any of this, feel free to post them in the chat. We'll go to the next slide. The next slide basically is an announcement of the fact that we have another session in the series. This one will tackle assignments for groups. So in the first session, we talked about how to create groups in your Canvas course. Where you're creating groups so that they submit assignments as a group. And so in this section, in the next one, we're going to talk about assignment for groups, for those groups, as, in other words, differentiated assignments. And so Rob and I will talk about that in the next month. We'll open it up for Q&A if anybody has any questions or feedback or comments.
I'm checking the groupie event page now. Doesn't look like there's anything new there in terms of a question. Okay.
And we'll definitely address Melanie's question and take a look at a little bit further into the excused scenario. And then you'll find the link to the discussion that was ongoing on this topic as well.
Definitely. It would be great to have even more people who participate in the Canvas community and who are designing courses, designing assignment groups, talking about possibilities for grading rules. I'm so excited that we can create feature ideas again, and there could be a good feature idea around this in the future when assignment group weighting becomes an announced priority.
Great. Please continue to stay tuned to Canvas live at .canvaslms.com. We can follow that space if you're not already to be notified of upcoming events that we're having, as well as upcoming sessions of Groupies series. We have a Canvas Live user group. If you just search for Canvas Live user group in the community, this is basically a place where we all collaborate on the logistics of an upcoming session or have brainstorming sessions on some topics before we actually launch that event into Canvas Live. And then we also have our chat rooms. So again, you can get this information on our Canvas Live page. So if you want to hang out and chat in real time with some other community members around these different topics, you absolutely can. Without further ado, I just wanted to say thank you so much for attending the session today. Hopefully we'll see you in another future Canvas Live session. Rob, thank you for joining us this morning as well.
Well, thank you, Birai, and it's great to have the interest from everybody who attended. I love talking about groups in Canvas. It serves us so well at our business school here with so much group work in the curriculum.
Great, great, great. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.
Take care. Bye-bye.